it's honestly insanity to sit there and think about when you were younger and all the pressure you put on yourself to want to fit in, or even if you weren't trying to fit in, but to at least look the par.
Yeah.
So it
Ugh.
was just like
Mm.
what the world, because I remember you had all these different kids like in high school. You had like the emo kids, you had the goth kids, which not very much of a difference besides the music, I would say, because they kind of look the
Mhm.
same. I'm like, you had the melanated kids. I don't. You had the Samoans, the Hawaiians, the Filipinos, and then you had like some groups that were like mixed, intertwines, where we just called them adobo, a mixed plate. And with that, I grew up in Hawaii. So,
I was gonna say I grew up in a white school, so I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking
oh,
about.
okay. Well, we had
Oh my
we
god.
had we had the whole colors of the rainbow, the imagination.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and with that, it was interesting because in Hawaii, the standard of beauty wasn't really there. It was more of class. Like, all right, cool.
Mm.
Your parents have this, your parents have this, or the way that you dressed. Like, if you were wearing FUBU, fuck, I'm showing my age. If you were wearing FUBU or if you were wearing polo, that right there will put you in a different status, pretty much.
Okay.
And I mean, and then
Interesting.
I remember when it turned into the whole kind of sexual era, to where you're in high school and the hormones hit and you're like, ooh, booty, and the girls are just like, ooh, muscles. So now all of a sudden it's like you're cute if you have that physique.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dang. And I think that's where that little joke in term of brown paper bag came from. Where it's like you can block a
Mm.
person's face out, you ain't got to think about it, but look at everything else. And I'm not gonna lie, if I was a materialistic person and all I thought about was the body, then yeah, that could work. Just close your eyes or just look at whatever it is that you like on the person. Think of that. And then if you want to envision somebody's face, think of someone that you actually found physically appealing. But for me, I've always been a weird individual. I always would go in kind of like a blind person. I would want to see how I feel around you. There's been
Mhm.
times like when I was in the Marine Corps when I actually grew into myself, and granted, in the military, well, I can only speak for the Marines. You get paid to work out. So I was looking good. Not to toot my own horn or nothing, but toot toot. And I didn't realize it at the time. And I think that's kind of where partially where my body dysmorphia came from. Like I look at myself now, I am not fat. I am not out of shape. I still have the lines for my abs and everything. But I find so many things that I feel I can, if only it wasn't like this and it was like this.
Mm.
And there's a lot of people. I had recently did an episode on body dysmorphia, body positivity,
Mhm.
and loving yourself and embracing your flaws, embracing your imperfections was the biggest part that I want to talk about real quick, because I don't know why, but I feel that you have something you can add to that.
I do.
When it the loving your imperfections, because we all are unique individual beings, and that's one of the things that creates beauty, because if we all looked the same, nobody's gonna really be looking at you in that type of way, like I want her, I want him. What makes you different from anybody else? They say that one person's trash is another person's treasure, which means that we all see things differently.
Mhm.
My wife looks at me and she's like, "Ooh, he handsome." Another girl can look at me and be like, "The fudge? Nah." So but I know that I love myself and I know that somebody else loves me for who I am. So the things that I find wrong with myself, I truly had to learn to love them because I love the person that I'm with and that person loves me for who I am. So how am I going to love someone else when I don't love myself? I have to truly love everything about me. And with age, our body's going to change. What do you have about embracing the imperfections?
Mm. So something that I've kind of been working on, I totally had, maybe still am working through,
Hmm?
The whole body dysmorphia thing, like, I in high school, and I think even middle school, I sucked in my stomach all the time. I thought I was
Like
fat.
purposely?
Yup. And it was like it was second nature to the point
Hmm.
where when I would allow myself to, like, let my stomach relax, I
Yeah.
would s I would feel like I was going to throw up. So I would go back to sucking my stomach back in because that was just how my body was used to being. Um, but yeah, I even at like 117 pounds, 122 pounds, I thought that I was fat. And oh, it didn't help being in an abusive relationship where I expressed to the guy that I was self-conscious about, like, the little bit of fat that I had on my stomach, and he told me to go on diet pills. So, anyway, the whole thing about embracing your just everything about your body, like, there's never been anything wrong with it. If,
Hmm.
ugh. Like, you're already enough exactly as you are, and deep, deep, deep down, you know that you are already enough for yourself. You may not feel like
Yes.
you're enough for other people, but you're enough for yourself. Like, you were born loving yourself. You were born loving your body, and you learned over time that it was not okay to do that. You watched people judge their bodies. You watched people give negative definitions to things like fat and wrinkles and stretch marks and things like that. But none of those things have ever actually been bad. All of it is actually neutral. So it's just kind of a way to, one, control people,
Hmm.
and two, it's a distraction. It's a distraction from everything that actually matters. So with loving your body exactly as it is, I can tell you it has, for me, like, it has been hard because I'm like, I can love my body, but what about this person? Or
Yeah.
what about my future boyfriend? Or what about, like, and then it's like, oh, it's not and then with energy, it's like, if you love yourself, then that's what's going to be reflected back to you by people.
Yeah. Whatever you put out into the universe is what you shall receive back. Law of
Yep.
attraction. Ooh.
Yes.
So with it, I want to go ahead and bring this back around and tie it in. When it comes down to the loving yourself, we talked about how us growing up and the way that we didn't really love ourselves. We were finding a lot of flaws in ourselves. And at the beginning of the episode, we talked about the tarot readings and tapping
Yes.
into the divine. With that, if you're not completely loving yourself, truly loving yourself, would that be a block in stopping your power, stopping you from connecting to the divine?
Not necessarily. My personal journey has been I needed to heal a lot of traumas
Hmm.
in my heart to be able to connect better. Not loving yourself does not mean that you can't connect, but if you are scared to connect, or
Yes.
if you've, like, shut down your heart or something because, you've been hurt so many times in your life, you just may not pay attention to it at all.
Hmm.
And there's also, is it something that you even want to work? Like, now some people, like, they're born with this stuff and, like, it doesn't really go away and they kind of have it for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
For me, I had to actually be like,
Born
oh, I
into the
want
gift.
this.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, technically I was born with it, but then I shut it off. I don't know. I don't remember doing that. Like that. Anyway, so I had to process a lot of childhood traumas and, um, do a lot of breath work and
Mhm.
journaling and writing letters and burning letters. And as I did those things, I started to actually feel lighter. So you don't have to, quote, love yourself in order to have these skills or these abilities.
Mhm.
Mm, I was gonna say that there is a but there really isn't a but.
However, I'm joking. Okay, that is dope. So ultimately, even if you're because I know right now a lot of people talk about the Kundalini rising and have your chakras aligned and all these things to really
Mm,
tap into your divinity, tap into your true self. You is it safe to say that you disagree?
disagree with what?
That you need to have dang near be perfect, have your chakras aligned and all this extra stuff. I mean, I can understand like,
No.
yeah, you need to, as they like to say, do the work. You need to work on yourself. You need to find I believe that you need to find yourself. But better yet, let me change that. I believe that you need to understand yourself in order to actually do greater things. Because if you're constantly questioning, that right there is fear. If you're questioning things, you're finding reasons on why not to do it ultimately. If you think about the roots of it, if you're questioning something because you're afraid of what possibly can happen. Well, should I do this? Now you're thinking about what could happen if you do. But also at the same time, if you're a perfectionist, you're going to be thinking of, did I do it right? Am I doing it right? So now that
Yeah.
right there will end up halting you from actually even trying. Again, fear comes down to the root of it all.
Yeah.
Fear. Ooh, everything we
It's a
talked
big
about
thing.
has been fear. Fear of what others think of you.
Yep.
Fear of not being good enough.
Yep.
Fear. Well,
I
we
mean,
know what the code word banana stood for. Fear with Jessica.
yes.
That is dope. But now I really enjoyed this conversation. I learned quite a bit of things, and I it was really interesting to see you spot on with those tarot reading.
Thank you.
I'm
And
not
thank
gonna lie.
you for
I was a little disappointed though,
why?
because the cards didn't have the cats on them.
Oh, I do have a cat tarot deck. I just
A
don't use it
word.
because hmm?
Why don't you use it?
I don't know because
They all have the
this
same
is
meanings, right?
yeah, but like also at the same time, every deck has a different energy. So
Oh.
like I don't like using the Rider Waite deck. That's like the traditional deck. Um, this deck that I use is a lot more of a nurturing and compassionate energy.
Mhm.
And when I use if I were to use the Rider Waite deck, like the Ten of Air or the Ten of Swords is literally a guy laying face down with 10 swords sticking out of his back, and nobody wants to see that. So,
Mm, I can think of some people who would. I've deployed with a couple people who will probably be like, "Hey." So, but yeah, that is the darker side of me. War
nice.
changes a man. But that is interesting. So the energy that you I'm not gonna keep you too long. We can talk about
No,
that again. What?
ask the question.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. So I didn't put up much of a fight.
Mm,
So each deck has a different type of energy. So how do you know which deck you need to grab? Is it like Harry Potter where the wand chooses you? So does the deck choose? Does the deck be like, "Hey, use me for this person"?
I mean, technically, you could if I really wanted to, if I want, because there's another deck that I use, but I don't really use it because the cards are thicker and are harder to shuffle. I like the deck. I
Hmm.
just if I were to do an expo and do readings at an expo, it would really
Yes.
make my hands hurt and tired really fast. Um, but yeah, it's like, what do you feel drawn to? And I remember when people would be like, "What do you feel drawn to?" And I'm like, "What does that mean?"
Hey, beautiful souls. If you love deep conversations about life, love, and spiritual growth, help us reach more like minded people. Like, comment, and share to push these powerful episodes through the algorithm. Let's build a community that thrives on wisdom and connection. Find us everywhere: YouTube at Danley_Divine, Facebook and Kick at Divine Time Podcast, and also follow the blog, divinetime.blog. If you're looking for your soul tribe, join our Telegram group, Warriors of Love. Together we rise. Divine time is now.